You've just dropped anchor in that quaint waterfront town harbor after an awesome day on the water. As you secure the anchor and head back to the helm to turn off the engine, you notice tendrils of blue smoke rising from the engine compartment vent, just as somebody down below shouts, "Fire!" What happens in the next 60 seconds will likely determine whether you'll spend the evening enjoying tropical drinks and that all-you-can-eat rib special at Lord Rumbottom's Tavern, or worrying over the fine print in your insurance policy. Do you have a fire action plan in place, and are crew members familiar with it? Are there adequate numbers of fire extinguishers on board? Are they operational? Does the crew know where they're located and how to operate them? These are just some of the questions all boat owners should be able to answer in the affirmative well in advance of an onboard fire. Let's take a look at how to increase your chances of landing in the barbecue rib rather than the blackened boat category. The ABCs of fire. As with all battles, you have to learn about your enemy before you can fight them safely and effectively. Fires are classified by the type of material that's burning. Class A fires are fueled by combustible solid materials such as wood, paper, cloth, and plastics. Class B fires involve flammable liquids and gases, gasoline, diesel, varnishes, and propane, while Class C fires are powered by energized electrical circuits or equipment. As the classifier is not broken down any further, differentiating between diesel and kerosene, for example, it's easier to think simply of a Class A fire as being solids, Class B fires as liquids, and Class C fires as electrical. Fire extinguishers are rated by the class of fire their extinguishing agent is effective against. A Type C extinguisher is for use on electrical fires only, while a Type ABC multi-purpose extinguisher can be used on all three classes: solids, flammable liquids, and electrical. It's important to match the type of extinguishing agent with the class of fire you're up against. Water is effective against a Class A fire, but spraying it at a frying pan of burning oil, a Class B fire, can spread flames throughout the galley, while using it against a Class C fire could result in shock or electrocution. As of 2022, new U.S. Coast Guard regulations call for extinguishers that use UL, Underwriters Laboratories, designations, a number-letter combination that indicates the square footage of the fire the extinguisher can put out and the type of fire it is effective against. For example, a 5-B extinguisher indicates an extinguisher capable of putting out a Class B fire up to 5 square feet in size. Multi-purpose extinguishers, as the name implies, are effective against different classes of fires. They take the guesswork out of which fire extinguisher to use, saving time when every second counts. However, they do have downsides. Most use a dry chemical powder to smother fire that, while effective, is also highly corrosive and difficult to remove afterwards. In some cases, a small engine fire, for example, they can actually cause more damage to the engine than the fire itself. They also have to be aimed directly at the base of the fire to be effective, which may be difficult in a cramped engine compartment with limited access. Gaseous clean agent extinguishers such as CO2, halon, halocarbon, Fe-241, and the like are non-conductive, leave no residue, and can be used to simply flood an enclosed compartment, snuffing out the fire inside. While this flooding approach works well in the engine compartment, it's not as effective in open areas where the gas disperses much more quickly. Because of this, the most common recommendation is to use a clean agent extinguisher in the engine room and multi-purpose units throughout the rest of the vessel. Fire extinguisher checks and placement. The first check is ensuring that you have the correct number of UL-rated U.S. Coast Guard approved fire extinguishers on board. This is going to be based on the size of your vessel. Verify each is in good working order, readily accessible, and properly mounted in appropriate, easily visible locations adjacent to exit paths. A good rule of thumb is that you should never have to travel more than half the length of your boat to reach an extinguisher. Portable extinguishers should be located near the galley, engine compartment, and in all living spaces, bearing in mind that the minimum requirements are just that. It's always good to have additional units on board. A common problem I see as a marine surveyor is a vessel having the correct number of fire extinguishers on board, but locating all of them below decks where a galley fire could prevent access from the helm. Sailboats are particularly susceptible in this regard, as layouts typically place the galley near the companionway to aid in ventilation. The recommendation here, of course, is simply to mount an additional unit at the helm or in the cockpit where it's available to the vessel's operator the minute a fire is discovered. While mounting an extinguisher in an easily visible location is preferred, ensure that installations for those mounted out of sight, such as inside of a cockpit locker, includes a weatherproof fire extinguisher label outside where it can easily be seen. Fire extinguishers have different maintenance schedules based on their type and extinguishing agent. In addition to routine monthly checks for physical damage, low gauge pressure, and the like, it's also a good idea to have units professionally inspected and tagged annually. The portable dry chemical extinguishers so popular with boaters due to both their effectiveness and relatively cheap cost should be considered disposable and replaced every 6 to 8 years. It's cheap insurance, and you can put the old ones to good use by allowing family and crew to practice putting out fake fires ashore. Everybody on board should know how to safely use a fire extinguisher before the need arises. Safety planning and fire prevention. As with most potential problems on board, sinking, falling overboard, running out of margarita mix, the best protection against fire is to prevent it from occurring in the first place. A fire can occur anywhere on board. However, many start in the engine room, typically from electrical malfunctions, followed by fuel leaks and overheating. The galley is another likely spot due to cooking mishaps and so on, although to a lesser extent than popularly thought. Prevention may be the best defense, but equally important is having a fire action plan in place to deal with fires should they occur. Post diagrams of your vessel showing the location of all portable extinguishers, as well as the controls and instructions on how to operate permanently mounted units, those in the engine room, for example. These instructions should be placed in prominent locations. Other good information to provide would be primary and alternate escape routes for all spaces, particularly sleeping areas, and the location of cutoff valves and switches for electrical, fuel, LPG, and CNG systems. Run through what would happen in each area of your boat if you had to get out quick, and when planning emergency action items and escape routes, physically walk through them to confirm they actually work. If your evening meal goes up in smoke, can you reach the remote solenoid shutoff or the stove LPG system without having to reach over the flames? Is that forward cabin hatch actually large enough to fit through in the event of a fire? Can it be opened with the dinghy stored on deck? These are the types of questions you want to ask before staking your life on the answer. Review your boat's fire safety plan with passengers and crew each time prior to getting underway, and hold fire drills regularly to ensure everyone knows what to do in the event of an emergency. Posting simple instructions and providing training on operation of VHF radios and how to determine vessel location, reading coordinates from a chart plotter, for example, will ensure everybody can call for help and tell rescue organizations where the vessel is located if required to. In the event a fire occurs while at the marina, the best course of action will likely be to evacuate the boat, dial 911, and let professional firefighters handle it. Remember, fire extinguishers are small, quick fixes. If you can't put out the fire with one extinguisher, 2 at the most, then get out. For fires away from the dock, you'll have to be more self-reliant, as evacuation will be more difficult and assistance likely will be longer in coming. Your response when dealing with an onboard fire while anchored or underway will ultimately be determined by existing conditions, the type of the fire, the location, and the like. However, in general, one of the first steps should be notifying the Coast Guard utilizing channel 16 on your VHF radio. Letting someone know you're in trouble sooner rather than later gives rescue agencies or Good Samaritans nearby a quicker response time should assistance be needed. Once contact is established, pass crucial information as quickly as possible. Location, type and size of vessel, number of people on board, boat name, and so on, as there may not be a second chance should the fire knock out your electronics. If the fire occurs while underway, first thing is to stop the boat, paying attention to your surroundings while maneuvering to avoid other vessels or running aground to the extent possible. If the fire is in the engine room, one of the worst things to do is the very first thing everybody wants to do. Open up the compartment to see what's going on in there. Doing so provides an additional rush of oxygen, which can turn an otherwise smoldering fire into an abandoned ship type conflagration. The best way to fight an engine room fire is having an appropriately sized clean agent automatic extinguisher system mounted within the engine compartment. Automatic is a key word here, but there should also be a manual discharge control located outside the engine compartment. This is so that the unit can be immediately discharged in the event you or a crew member become aware of a fire before the auto release mechanism kicks in. At a minimum, fire ports should be installed to fight engine compartment fires. These are small ports or openings that allow you to discharge a portable clean agent fire extinguisher directly into the engine room without opening hatches or access panels. Ensure your fire port is big enough to accept the extinguisher nozzle, can be opened and accessed from outside the engine compartment, and is located so that the portable fire extinguisher can be properly discharged in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. For example, able to be discharged in an upright position. Regardless if you use a portable unit and fire port or an automatic extinguisher, be sure to shut down the engine as soon as possible. A running engine can pump fire suppressant out of the engine compartment while continuing to suck in fresh air. Most automatic units have an option for installing an automatic engine shutdown, an excellent idea that should be seriously considered, particularly for diesel engines. As clean agent units kill the fire without damaging the engine and its components, boaters can often restart their engines after locating and correcting the initial problem and return to port under their own power. Other good stuff to know. Fire extinguishers should be inspected monthly by the vessel's operator for corrosion, loss of pressure, blocked discharge ports, damaged mounting brackets, and so on. They should also be inspected and tagged annually by a qualified service facility. Non-serviceable or disposable portable fire extinguishers should be replaced immediately after use, or if the extinguisher's gauge needle is in the empty area. Install marine-grade smoke detectors in vessels where appropriate. This would be vessels with like enclosed accommodation spaces, galleys, and the like. Portable electric heaters are a leading cause of boat and marina fires. Never leave them on unattended or to protect your vessel during winter layup. Heaters, energized light bulbs, and the like are a poor substitute for properly winterizing your boat, both from a fire safety standpoint and because it's not uncommon to lose power during severe winter weather. Keep your boat's engine in good repair, making regular checks for fuel system leaks as well as cooling system problems that could lead to overheating. Correct electrical system problems promptly and professionally using marine-grade wiring and components. Store portable gas cans in suitable storage racks above decks. Outboard engines and other fuel-powered equipment should be stored securely on deck or in a separate isolated storage area vented to the outside. Turn off all LPG and CNG appliances and close all cylinder valves prior to going to bed or leaving the vessel. Cylinder valves should always be closed when the system is not in use. Avoid using candles, but if you must, place them upright in a suitable, stable holder away from curtains and furnishings. Never leave a burning candle unattended, and keep candles, matches, lighters, and other source of flame out of reach of children. Reduce the chance of fire by practicing good housekeeping. Remove trash, oily cleaning rags, and other such debris daily. Store flammables, such as varnish, paint thinners, and the like, ashore when possible. Never use portable non-marine type hibachis or grills inside your boat due to the potential for tipping over. Most can't be mounted, and CO buildup. Don't leave your galley stoves and grills unattended while cooking and turn them off immediately after use. You should also never use your stoves and grills and such for comfort heating due to carbon monoxide issues. Finally, keep your stoves, ovens, and grills clean and free from grease and oil buildup, and always keep curtains and other flammables away.